All right, sweethearts, what are you waiting for? Breakfast in bed? Another glorious day in the Corps. Day in the Marine Corps is like a day on the farm. Every meal's a banquet. Every paycheck a fortune. Every formation a parade. I love the Corps.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Swords, Balls and Beards, episode 11. We made it to, well, beyond double figures. Yay! No, okay. It's only me and him today.
Yay!
Yay! We love our guests. No one loved us enough.
But it's not their show, it's ours.
No, it's ours. It's always ours. Orky Adams over there and non-Orky Adams over here. Hello.
Hello.
You're right.
I'm fine.
Good. All right, see you next week.
Yeah, that's it.
Welcome back, everybody. This week, we have no guest because we didn't want to. That's just it. Last week, we spoke about... Well, we had a double bill last week. We spoke about character creation and backstories. And then, in the summer month of August, while we were editing, we had a double bill, I had a brainwave about this week's episode. Because during my brief hiatus from work, I went to the cinema to see Romulus, and we could do a whole episode on the Alien universe.
Yeah, we certainly can.
I think we could. So it's very similar to when we did Fallout. Back when Jace was among us.
Jace, formerly of this parish.
Jace, formerly of this parish. New feature. Where is Jace this week? Last week he was with Snoop Dogg at the Olympics. This week he is...
scaling Mount Vesuvius.
Okay, I like. Do you think he would cope?
No.
Okay. No? Okay.
God,
no. No. No, okay. I'm not sure I would. No, actually, I have scaled Mount Vesuvius, so I shouldn't really be...
What's the one that recently erupted? Is that Etna?
Yeah.
One of the Italian volcanoes went up recently.
The one that's near Pompeii is called...
Etna?
No.
Vesuvius?
That's the one I want to...
Okay.
So he could do that because it's a path. It's a walk.
Oh, it's a walk. Well, he's going up the more difficult one.
Okay. Scarfield Pike.
That'll
do. He's up Scarfield Pike, the highest peak in England, for those of you who give a hoot. This week, we thought we'd break down, we looked at Fallout as a universe, expanded universe, and we thought this week we'd talk about Alien because Romulus came out.
And we both saw it.
And we both saw it, and I saw it separate to Orky Adam, and I thought, you know what? If he manages to see it...
Because I never get to the cinema.
Then it'd be a good thing, because otherwise it's just one of us talking about this new film that came out.
Without spoiling it. Like when we did the Fallout episode and Jace had only watched the first episode. So
and then told us why it was all failing after 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So... And
then went back and watched it and then played 150 levels of Fallout 76.
Having berated Fallout, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where Jace is, eating humble pie. So this week there is no palaver. 3 minutes of palaver. There is palaver. We're going to get straight to it, I guess. We'll figure out, allegedly, and we'll do a Hobbit corner.
We can do Hobbit corner.
Have you got a Hobbit?
Not currently on me.
Right.
I finished off another piece of Orc artillery for my painting. It was fun. It's been slowly, I've been putting in an hour, sort of once every couple of weeks. Yeah, almost. And then I thought, no, I'm just going to sit down and do it. And I had a slower work day yesterday because I'd eased myself back in after the end of the summer holidays and people getting back to work and stuff.
Nice.
So I was like, right. And I realised I tested it out because usually I don't like to go, because I'm upstairs to paint. I didn't want to sort of leave the dog on his own downstairs for ages. He was zonked out eating with a monkey. So I was like, I'm just going to sit and paint for a bit.
Nice.
And by the time it came to sort of the evening, I had 2 or 3 bits to do. I've done it. Yes.
They did look very pretty when you sent me the photographs. Oh, I'm jealous. The last time I built anything, I ended up was when I got my codex and I was building. You can tell me what they're called because I've completely forgotten.
Paragon Warsuit?
This just sums up my involvement in Warhammer at this current stage in my brain.
Yeah.
But still love the systems, don't get me wrong. But I was on text to you, didn't ring you. But I was like, I can't build them right because there's too many options, and I broke my brain.
Yeah.
Toby
but luckily I live around the corner and I can come help you. So.
Yes. He looks through the window when we're not expecting him.
No, don't put that on there. like a Dickensian child looking in at the feast at Christmas.
Yes. Or just stand on a ladder in the cemetery looking over the hedge like some sort of
creepy ghost.
Yeah, basically. Hobbit corner. So you did that, which is cool.
I'm trying to get 1,000 points of orcs painted before I start getting some Space Marines through the post.
Okay, we've had a conversation about this, and I'm upset that you're now.
Yeah. Well, effectively, for those of you who are interested in 40k and stuff, there's a new magazine that's coming out, and they're starting to do like subscriptions for it.
First copy, 50p to get you in.
Exactly, it's kind of like build your own dinosaur. You know, those when you were a kid, or I think I had one that was build your own robot over the course of 5,000 issues.
If it was like build your own dinosaur, do you think at one copy they gave you a...
You always got the best bit. You got like the skull.
Here is a shin of the Diplodocus.
Oh yeah, because I did it when I was a little boy. I had you build your own T-Rex, and eventually
did 1 week it was just the shin bone.
Yeah, I think 1 week was like
Did they start
because
you off?
got you at that point, haven't they?
Did they start you off with like a really cool thing?
Yeah, I think you got like the skull first.
So do you know what you're getting with this magazine first?
So the first issue of this magazine, I'm getting a Captain in Terminator armor and a Wing Tyrannid Prime, which is equivalent of 40 quid's worth of minis for like $2.99. And then issue 2 is like 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, which is like 30 quid's worth of minis.
That's quite scary.
So effectively, you end up with 9 combat patrols plus a little bit extra for each of the 9 factions. And it would take like 2 years to get the whole collection. I was thinking drip drab, bit of this, bit of that, and I'm looking forward to painting something that's not so like grubby. Because like all my orcs are like dirty looking.
But your Space Marines could be mud ridden.
I don't want them to be. I want them to be clean and pristine and ready for action in the name of the Emperor and all that sort of stuff. Plus the game's coming out like very, very soon, and I'm so excited. I watched the review. Sort of embargo has lifted today as of recording this, and IGN got it at 8 out of 10. Kotaku have done a similar thing. I think it's 7 or 8 out of 10.
So what is it like?
Kind of like Gears of War.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Gears of War. Apparently the campaign's quite short, but the multiplayer and the...
Is it just like Horde mode on Gears of War?
So there's two. There's a PvP, so there's 2 teams of Space Marines kicking each other's heads in. And then there's also a missions, which is sort of run alongside the campaign. So
almost like you're playing the tabletop game.
Almost like you could do the main campaign co-op with like 2 other friends or 2 other people, but you can also play these like I think they call them operations, which run alongside. So Captain Titus, which is the main character of the game, is running off in one direction. You might be on the same map doing something that helps his mission as an operation, sort of thing. Apparently, it's quite short, the campaign, but people are loving it for the multiplayer and stuff. So I'm very excited to play it.
Nice. Very exciting. I have very few Hobbits this week.
Go on.
I genuinely do. I mean, there's stuff I've mentioned before briefly, but they've progressed a bit. So I am running my Session 0 for Blade Runner finally.
You are, aren't you? Yeah.
Calendars have been organised between players, and I say players, a player who just needs to sort their diary out. I'm running it for 2 people, and literally just running it for 2 cops who are doing.
It's going to be interesting that, because I think it's going to be quite intense, isn't it? There's just the 2 people and yourself,
and it's prop heavy because it's around the table. And when you buy a Blade Runner, and it's a module that they provided, that it comes with the evidence photographs to look at and props to give out and newspaper articles to give out. So it's a different
Please wear a trench
type
coat.
of game. That's all I'll be wearing.
Yeah,
nothing else. Do that kind of game.
Just slowly undo buttons as they get more clues right,
or do them back up as they progress with them. If they solve the puzzle, I'll redress. It's like the opposite. It's the opposite of strip poker. So that'll be very cool, and I think it'll be different because I wanted to play it. You can play it, and I've seen it online, played with more a regular sized table.
Yeah.
But I thought for all the cop shows out there, you never get 6 players.
Yeah, you look at True Detective and things like that. And
so I like the idea of trying it for 2.
X-Files, that sort of thing.
And I went in on Kickstarter for their new book, which is all about being the rebellion, which doesn't mean you have to be a replicant. But like if you watch, and I know you haven't, Bad Adam, if you watch 2049.
Yeah, I've never got around to it.
And if you watch the mini films they did between and the anime.
Did any of that?
Yeah, like a 2-minute short.
Oh, okay.
Then they start talking about the rebellion more. So you can be a human that's sympathising with the replicants, or you can be a replicant, but they've got different types of replicants. So you get the beast of a dude that's your stereotypical barbarian and kind of chunky dude, and you get the one that's a sneak and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So that'll be cool. I'm also, which is relevant to today's episode, starting to prep my diary so I can get ready. I've got my stuff back with Jace for me off his parish.
For the alien?
For the alien stuff. Because we're going to be running, and I'll talk about it in the episode, I'm going to be running Heart of Darkness.
Way.
Which will be very cool, and I will go into it more later because it's relevant to stuff. But, yeah, so that's my... Excuse me.
A different type of Hobbit Corner.
It's been a while since I prepped a game because my I was going to say my previous listeners of this podcast will know that friends of mine moved away and we played a lot of D&D with them.
That's right.
So that's all quieted down because they've moved.
So you've suddenly found yourself with a different looking
diary
schedule.
Yes, it's like, or a lack of one. It's like, what can I fill it with? Because I want all those games. You know, I only try and buy games on a shelf.
Yeah.
That I'm going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken me a while to get to Blade Runner. I've played everything of Alien apart from Half Darkness that I own.
Well, once Blade Runner's out of the way, let's do Deadlands.
And Deadlands on the shelf.
I'm quite interested in trying out Delta Green at some point.
Yes. No, definitely. That's on my agenda.
I hear very good things about Delta.
No, it's very... The playthroughs of that I've seen. There's one playthrough I saw with... they were stumbling across the crime scene, and in the garden of this terraced house was just this crow that was completely covered in eyes.
That's cool.
And I just
it's
thought...
kind of like X-Files and Cthulhu, isn't it?
Yeah.
For people who don't know what Delta Green is.
Yeah. Modern day or 90s, depending on the vibe, you know, that kind of... Enough that, although I had this revelation the other day that with all this Oasis stuff going on at the moment, I had Oasis on in the house, thinking about business.
But you're Southern, you can't listen to Oasis.
Well, I went to see Blur. They were my, I am a Southern boy. So. Yeah. But anyway, it's 30 years ago since then, and I was thinking when I was 96, when they were peak of their fame.
Sure.
30 years ago was my dad's music was Simon and Garfunkel, which was 30 years ago.
My music now.
Felt ancient.
I bloody love Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So yes, we shall see. But my Hobbit corner is preparation and book reading.
Cool,
which is fun.
Onto the meat. The meat of the sandwich.
The meat of the sandwich.
The delicious human meat that you'll eat with your second mouth.
So I've written a bunch of questions there.
Go for it.
To see what your answers are.
Ooh, interesting.
I know. Well,
is it like Mastermind, but like Xenomorph edition?
No, it's more here. This is a prompt to get you to ramble.
Okay.
Because
it's not hard
to know. How, sir, were you introduced to the alien universe?
I was introduced to the alien universe through my father telling me about it. Not being allowed to show it to me.
How old were you?
Because I was too young. I was about 6, 7 maybe. And he was telling me the story about it. And I think I liked it so much I must have retold him the story of the Alien film as if he'd never heard it several times.
And he was telling you about Alien specifically?
Yeah, yes, Alien 1. Yeah. But the first movie I ever watched was Aliens, the sequel. And I got really scared of the scene with the lady in the wall. She's like, kill me! Because I'd never seen anything like that before.
And how old were you at that age?
Must have been about 11.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was back when, like, after school, you used to go around friends' houses and they used to dig out their dad's DVD collection. And you'd watch things like Terminator 2, Conan the Barbarian, things like that. And Aliens was one of them.
Very good.
That was my first introduction to it. And it wasn't until much later on, because I was interested immediately. So I watched that and Predator and a couple of the big 80s action hit films. And then was like, right, I want to know more about this, and watched 1 and 3, and that was all that was available at the time. And then Resurrection when it came out, and I've just kept up with them since.
Very good.
I played those at the games. I used to play there was one on the PlayStation 1, the Alien Trilogy, and the PlayStation 1 was a first-person shooter.
Vaguely.
Real old school, but it was great. I mean, cutting edge at the time, obviously, but yeah.
I think I remember.
It was one where the facehugger would jump at you, and it would just like cover the whole screen, and then just disappear, and it takes my health away and stuff.
Yeah. Very good.
But that was great.
Very good. I discovered a similar age. I don't know how old I was, and I have to reverse engineer it because I remember. Very long-winded story, but I'll keep it short. When I was a child, I remember going, and I'm trying to figure out how old by child. I used to go on summer holidays. Very similar vibe to watching videos that your friends shouldn't have shown you. And every summer we go for a family holiday. 6 cousins, wasn't enough rooms in the house. And me and my cousin Rob would sleep on the lounge floor. It wasn't either of our house, and we discovered Uncle Ken's video collection.
Okay.
And every summer.
Uncle Ken's video nasties.
Well, every summer what's brilliant is that my cousin Rob, who I thank you, Rob, he'd go, we need to watch this. And it was Uncle Ken's recorded off the TV version, right?
Yeah, of course. So they always were.
And I looked forward to it every summer because I only watched it once a year and therefore fell in love with Aliens. That was the one he showed me. And I remember as a child, and it was definitely a child, there was a toy shop in my hometown. And I stopped going when I went to secondary school. Mm-hmm. This is the mark because I never went by then. So start secondary school when you're 11, 12. And there was a toy shop downstairs, and upstairs was like your Airfix kits.
Okay.
And on the stairwell, as I remember it vividly, there was a slanty ceiling that matched the stairwell, and on it was a facehugger.
That's cool.
And I loved it. And as part of it, it was like, this is why I go for the toys, for the stuff upstairs, for the bit in the middle. But then I remember they shut that shop when I went to secondary school, so I must have known, and I knew enough about it. And then the summer which was 92, that Alien 3 came out. Again, me and Rob spent the summer together, and billboards were out, and I'd heard rumours that she shaved her head, and I'd heard rumours that she died. Oh, too late now, 15 minutes in. Spoilers, we are going to be discussing lots and lots,
spoilers,
including Romulus. So if you haven't seen it and you care, genuinely press pause.
We will, if we come to Romulus, I think Romulus, we could do the audience a favour of being like, hang on, spoiler, pausing for a second. Or whatever.
Fast forwarding for a second. If you pause it, you'll just have the spoiler a few seconds later.
4 seconds later, you'll prepare yourself for said spoiler.
But I remember I was seeing the billboards, getting very excited, and hearing that there was a rumour she was going to die, and thinking even at 11, 12, however old I was at the time, this was amazing, and it should happen because it's so nihilistic. And that's a bit twisted when you're 12, but
wow,
I think
okay.
I didn't know the word at the time. Looking back, I'm thinking because I like to I will get to resurrection, but finishing it properly. So I remember that, and I also remember in secondary school when I was a friend of mine called Richard, who introduced me to a bunch of films that he shouldn't have. He passed me the VHS of the special edition of Aliens.
Yeah,
which was only the special edition of Aliens because it's on VHS. There wasn't the other version. If you buy them now on Blu-ray, it's got both versions, but it's like, what do you mean special edition? And he went to me, there's more footage. And being the film nut that I was, I'd never heard of extended cuts before.
Yeah.
And it was like, pardon.
There's bits I haven't seen of this film.
And I had to borrow it off him and was very overexcited. And whichever version of that film you prefer.
How did your very conservative father and stuff deal with you watching that, or did you hide it away? Not show them and stuff. Because you obviously weren't 18.
My family holidays did not involve my father.
Right.
So he wasn't there.
Okay.
My mother didn't know what I was doing in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I'm watching videos of my cousin. And yeah, anything like that. I remember buying 7 when I was 17.
Yeah.
And stashing it somewhere because I knew they wouldn't
improve.
But then equally, Richard Green is a story for another day. Richard of Alien, who also introduced me to The Evil Dead and The Exorcist.
Good movies. And
I can remember the venue, I can remember the house, I can remember the room, and it's round the corner from my dad's. And I can remember I walked past my dad's house round the corner, and it's that bedroom up there. That's where I saw it. So it's that.
It's that stuck.
That stuck with me, and it's like okay, and it was cool. So yeah, basically they did what they didn't know. And I was never frightened by Alien at all.
No?
Never.
Just curious and interesting.
It was exciting and it was interesting. And I loved the creatures and I loved the Geiger stuff. And the facehuggers.
Yeah.
And I remember going to that toy shop with my mum with that facehugger on the ceiling. And I told my mum that's the coolest thing. And this is from this film I watched with Rob.
Right.
And she was my mum was, okay, dear, I don't know what that is. Yeah. Bearing in mind that my mother didn't understand time travel and Star Trek Next Generation.
Okay, yeah.
So she's like, yes, dear, whatever. And I'd say that flippantly, but if she'd known what I was watching, she'd
have been horrified.
She'd have been absolutely horrified, but the fact I didn't know, and because equally as a child, I was scared of the Incredible Hulk, apparently. I don't remember being scared of the Incredible Hulk. I don't remember that, but...
he is pretty scary.
To the point
you won't get punched by him.
To the point that she stopped me watching it. And V, I was scared. Was it V? I was scared of V, the TV show.
I thought you meant V for Vendetta.
No, V as in the people whose face come... That sci-fi show. You never seen that?
Never heard of that.
I know that I'm 4 million years older than you, but it's a really cool sci-fi series, and the lizard folk hiding on Earth. And at one point,
like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, it's basically the entire thing, and they peel their skin off at various points.
Oh.
Kevin this Barrett will verify this for me when he listens.
I'm sure he will.
It exists.
I'm sure he will.
But anyway, they've redone it recently, very badly.
What they usually do when they redo something that's from this.
So anyway, that was my discovery of Alien, and then the extended cut, and it was just like, pardon. This is glorious. And then I went back, I don't know when, and watched Alien.
What did you think for the pacing difference between second and first one? Because I asked this...
Second and third film?
Second and first. Because we both watched the sequel first.
Yeah.
And then went back and watched the first one. We recently got friends who are...
We recently got friends, folk.
Yeah, at the end. Into the Alien universe who'd never seen the films.
Yes.
I'm talking Sophie and Sam. And they both said the same thing. Of the first one's pacing was too slow for them. They really enjoyed the second one because it was a lot more like an action film rather than a horror film and stuff. And hands down, I mean, if it's on your list of questions to ask now, the first film is the greatest film of all of the Alien films, in my opinion. That is my favourite one. And I think I've got a lot more, like, when I was a kid, definitely the sequel, definitely Aliens.
Yeah.
Like, 100%. You know, all the Marines and stuff, and the big power loader suit, oh my God, amazing. But as an adult, and that whole concept of it, the first one is just sublime, it's just unbeatable, and I think what makes it so good is the pacing, is that slow, creeping dread, that because it's the only one I consider to be an actual horror film.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was one of those things. I love them both for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Half the reason, and if we ever did a breakdown of my favourite films, because the first two are in my top 10 of all time, but half the reason some of them are in my top 10 for those top 10 films was the experience. So Richard Green's house.
Yeah, you having that very crystal clear
I
memory of I was in this bed.
So Rob,
you could probably tell us what the colour of the carpet was in that room. And,
his dad owned a newsagent, and I had to go through the off licence, and I had to cut through the off licence to get behind the hill to get up to his house. And just the memory of that as a kid being this is the coolest thing I've done, because I'd never worked in a shop before.
And behind the counter.
Exactly. All that nonsense went with the experience. Yeah. And they had 2 Alsatian dogs that were glorious, and I love dogs. I remember to this day the smell of those dogs.
Well, if you're listening, Richard Green, get in touch.
If you're listening, Richard Green, get in touch. Richard Green also, sidebar, gave me a very odd birthday present once when I was in year 10, and it was an A1 picture on cardboard. He's a good artist, of one of our most horriblest teachers dressed up as a hooker. And I had to carry it around school all day. And I eventually went to my music teacher, I knew very well, because I was doing GCSE music, and said, "Sir, can I please keep this in your room? Just because it's bloody clumsy, how do I carry this A?"
Yeah, and it's probably quite offensive.
And it's quite offensive because she was a horrible teacher, and not the smallest of teachers, and he overemphasised everything.
Caricatured
her nipple tassels, the works. And they gave it to me, and it was like, but at school. And it's like, I can't, what do I do with this?
It's a present and a prank at the same time.
And so then I had to give it to Mr. Watson and said, "Sir, do you mind looking after this?" And he put it in the window of his classroom.
So everyone could see it.
And just like, shh. Anyway, amazing. So memories.
Amazing.
So Aliens and Alien, they are brilliant for different reasons. So I love the first one because the memories and nostalgia of being with my cousin, all that kind of stuff. And watching it every summer and falling in love with the gore and the mystery and the soldiers and the knife thing. I'm waving my hand. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alien, when I discovered it, it's down, it's dirty, and it's grungy because they're real people and all that vibe. And I do, and it is. I mean, I've recently rewatched it.
So good.
And they
oozes style and class.
Because Ridley Scott talked about watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Took that as a little bit of inspiration because basically it's a horror film. It's a slasher flick in a spaceship. There's no question. That's exactly what it is. It's the beastie coming after all of you, or it's your whatever. And it pacing doesn't bother me. It's interestingly hearing Sam and Sophie's feedback through yourself. It's like I've seen that they said something along the lines of they've done it better since.
Yeah.
It's like,
but that's the precursor that you wouldn't have got since if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. And actually, the pacing I think works.
It's the same thing they said about The Exorcist.
Yeah.
They were like, there was no point in having any of the part of it in Iraq at the beginning, or like there's like nothing happens in the film until about an hour and a half into it. And I was thinking, my goodness, it's like it's scene setting, it's character development.
But if you watch any horror film now, right, and I've deliberately done this, you can clock watch. If a cliche of a horror film now, you've got 90 minutes of setup, and death, slow death, and then half-hour carnage.
Yeah.
Every horror film. Whatever it is, it's the last half hour of the payoff where you finally get to come up into whatever it is. If you watch any horror film, even now the pacing is okay. An hour in, you watch Jaws, you don't see the shark for an hour.
No.
An Alien, you don't see. In Aliens, they don't see. They fly to the planet. They do the thing. You don't see a facehugger. You don't see any creatures for an hour.
Yeah.
It's a 2 hour movie, 2 hour 20-minute movie. So you don't see that, and it's in the last half hour. And in fact, when they start doing the countdown, when she goes back down to rescue Newt, the countdown's proper timing. It's brilliant. You watch it again, it goes 16 minutes till detonation, 16 minutes later, that's when it blows up in real time, which I think is really cool.
Clever.
But the pacing's fine because it's meant to be, it gives you time to get to know the characters, gives you time to give a shit.
I think one of the things of it as well, though, is because those movies are very much they're quite iconic now in the sort of style, the retro futuristic style of that has been copied and adapted and you know, taken bits from and things like that for a multitude of like more recent sci-fi things. And I think because I hadn't seen any of those more recent sci-fi things when I watched Alien for the first time, seeing that retro future vibe, because it was still a bit like, you know, they had technology in Alien 1 that was outdated even by the time I watched it. You know, there wasn't a single CD player. It was all tapes and MS-DOS, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And things like that. So seeing that then was like, oh, this is really cool. It's retro future. I like that. But then knowing that that's like, oh yeah, you've seen that in other things, kind of takes away a bit from that for newer watchers, you know, newer viewers.
Because it's no longer new and it's no longer.
Yeah, it's not like I've never seen anything like this.
It's
before.
not novel. No, and there's something about that grungy vibe that I still like to this day, and whether it's because all of my top 10 films, none of them are out. They're all 70s and 80s films.
Oh yeah.
And it's not because I don't like films from now.
No.
But if you make me break down my top 10 films, then they're all that vibe. So I'm a bit biased.
We will do that at some point.
Yeah, but it's so I like them both. And in answer to your question, I sat down and went, what if I had to put all the films in order? What would they be? And my answer, it depends on the mood I'm in. And this isn't the get out of jail free card, because I do this with my top 10. I have one favourite film and then 9 number
sequels,
2s.
yeah.
But with Alien and Aliens, it varies.
Yeah.
Depends what the mood I'm in, and I have to be in the right mood for that, because it's a horror, slow paced, getting to know Ripley, getting to know Dallas, getting to know Parker and Brett. Right, it's the only thing in, just and it was just the bonus situation, and John Hurt's death and all that kind of stuff, and even Ian Holm, who is
it's incredible.
Yes,
he's bloody great,
and he's freaky as fuck.
When you rate your chances.
Yeah. Can't lie to you about your chances. So it depends on the mood, but I think they are both very, very different, but they're both perfect.
Yeah.
And even Cameron, I rewatched,
which is clever, because I think, you know, when people say to me, and I'm sure they've said it to you, sequels are never as good as the original. That was in a case of where a sequel was a very different film, but it was very, very good.
Well, I rewatched some of the features the other day, because for those of you who are into that kind of thing, the old Blu-rays have amazing features on all of, like 2-hour documentary on each movie.
Oh, cool.
And on Apple, if you buy, just Apple off the top of my head, buy a digital version of Aliens on iTunes, it comes with that documentary. And it's proper old, like I used to have evenings when I was younger where I just watched documentaries on films because I liked it rather than I'd watch the features, have a features night.
Nerd.
Because I'm a nerd. And Cameron was saying in the opening, he said, I didn't want to replicate it, there's no point. I didn't want to do it again.
Too well, yeah. Well,
there was no point in trying to literally copy it or do it again, like as in literally reshoot it like they did with the UK Dead films. So he wanted to try something new and take the world and expand it and make it a different vibe. And that's why they work, because it is so different, and yet it still feels like it's the same universe. It still
just adds
feels
to the world building, doesn't it?
And probably because some don't. And when you get to the later films, it just feels like I was rewatched Resurrection recently in preparation for this, and I remember at the time thinking Resurrection just felt like every other 90s film that was out that year. So that came out in 97.
Yeah.
And that year was the year that Event Horizon came out.
Right.
Was
Species out around that time?
That vibe, yeah.
Because it gives that vibe.
And it was that, the other one, I don't know why, I always remember them back to back because I used to watch them a lot. That, and it's completely different, but it was randomly, I Know What You Did Last Summer, right?
Right, okay.
It was that era, and it just had that 90s vibe. So when I watched Resurrection, it was like, this isn't an alien film, this is a 90s horror film with an alien skin.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me.
There's one memorable scene from Alien Resurrection for me, and it's the Room of Failed Experiments.
Yeah.
Other than that, I couldn't tell you exactly what happens. I know it's got the alien with the human face in it.
Yep. But what's interesting of rewatching it now...
And Ripley has acid for blood.
Yeah, because she's
part alien, isn't she?
Because they've
cloned her.
They've cloned her. She's cloned number 7, which is why I got the failed experiment. Got Ron Perlman in it.
Yeah.
It's got your little...
It's got Winona Ryder in it as well.
It's got Winona Ryder in it as Cole. And it's the dude, interestingly, it's a complete cross.
She's the android, isn't she, Winona Ryder?
Yeah. And it's got the dude, he directed Delicatessen, and he directed Amelie.
Oh, he's a great director. Delicatessen's brilliant.
Yeah. And it was such an offshoot to think you did this and then you're doing this.
It had a very French vibe to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you because it was written by Joss Whedon, the whole film, and it has their crew from the Betty. It feels like he's trying to write. It's like nearly Firefly, but not.
Yeah,
and it's like the crew of the Firefly, the crew of the Betty. It's like this is your first draft, but it's also in the Alien universe.
But it's supposed to be grimdark and horrible,
and
and nasty,
and hence you get Ron Perlman trying to be funny.
Yeah,
which he can be. And flirting with.
Well, if it had been filmed now, it'd be Michael Rooker, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it
Instead
would.
of Ron Perlman, and yeah,
it was, and it had the dude. I always loved the fact.
Sydney Sweeney instead of Winona Ryder,
and it had the captain. The only other thing I remember, I've not seen him in other stuff, but the captain of the Betty was also the random dude in Why a Spoon Cousin from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He's the guy that actually asked the question. So he played Guy of Gisborne.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
And it's the only at the time similar time period, the 90s, when those films came out.
It's been years since I've seen that film,
and it's not great.
Well, this is the thing, though, isn't it? And there's so much Alien to choose from someone who's never seen a single one of them.
Yeah.
And luckily the first one's the best. But if you were to be like, oh, I need to watch, I hear the number 4 is really good, I'm going to sit through 3 of them. It's a bit of a minefield as to where to jump in, isn't it?
The bonuses, I suppose, if you have a franchise like Friday the 13th, or you have a franchise like Hellraiser, or you have a franchise like Nightmare on Elm Street, where you like some are good and some aren't.
Yeah.
Right? Some just aren't.
But effectively, they are the same film each time.
Yeah.
Whereas you could jump into any Halloween film and see Laurie Strode dealing with Michael Myers.
Only for the first 2.
For Halloween?
Yeah, because she's only in the first 2.
Oh, yeah, of course she is. Well, she's back in the later ones.
And but what's interesting about that is there is semi-plot progression. So the 5th one with Halloween is when it's the kid, and then Paul Rudd turns up because he's immortal, apparently. And then this happens.
Paul Rudd's in Halloween like 5?
5, yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah, it's very bizarre. And he looks like he doesn't now because he is
immortal. He's a portrait of Dorian Gray, isn't he?
Yeah, basically. But it kind of, from a plot progression point of view, I mean, with Aliens, they should have stopped, in my humble opinion, with 3.
Yeah.
Whether you like 3, and 3's flawed.
3 is the one I've seen the least out of them all.
And it was the one that nearly stopped David Fincher making any more. It was his first ever film, ever.
Oh.
And there's so much studio...
big shoes to fill, isn't it?
And studio interference is famous on these. Well, I get the impression that Ridley Scott is a studio man. There's no impression it's true. Which is fine, because he's working Joe and he's doing his thing. And the studio told me to do this is what I'm going to do. And what I get the vibe that Walter Hill has produced them all since the 70s, including up to Romulus. Mm-hmm. He has his opinion of what should happen.
Okay.
And he steered, and there's so much interference that when the box set I bought with 3 in it, there's 2 versions of each film. Apart from Resurrection, there's 2 versions of the first 3.
Yeah, like the original.
And there's the director's cut. But Fincher won't call it a director's cut, it's a work print, and he wouldn't touch the work print. And basically, what he wanted, they didn't want. So he nearly quit. He created it, which is why if you watch the two versions, the obvious thing is the alien in an Alien 3 bursts out of a dog.
Yes, the dog alien.
But in his work print, bursts out of a cow. The cow.
A cow?
Yeah. And they thought it wasn't scary, and they thought it wasn't aggressive enough and scary, it's just a cow. So it has to come out the animal that's more aggressive and more whatever.
Right.
Hence why they use the dog.
Yeah.
But actually, if you watch the work print, it is a better film, and it doesn't matter.
Have you got a copy of the work print?
Yes, I've lent.
I'll have a look myself because I've got the box set of like the 6 movies or whatever.
Yeah. It's on there.
In like a Blu-ray multi-pack thing,
yeah.
So it might be on there.
And it is just a better film, but they interfered with it so much. He literally he went from music videos to Alien 3, and then he quit. Unfortunately, he didn't because he's made so many great films since.
What's he done since? Remind me.
7.
Okay.
And the American English language version of Dragon Tattoo.
Okay. I've never seen that. I've seen the Swedish one.
Ignore Benjamin Button.
Right.
And he also made
movies.
Fight Club.
Oh, okay, right.
Etc. Etc. Etc.
There's some big name films.
Yeah. So he didn't quit, fortunately, and he helped make what's the show on Netflix about serial killers?
Mindhunter.
He was an EP on that.
Oh, was he now?
Or a producer.
Interesting.
He's done some proper.
He's had some hits.
He's had some
flops.
Yeah, no, and he's very meticulous, and I think then they come off. But Alien 3 worked, but apart from the flaws, like where did the egg come from, that started the whole premise off. There's an argument. I was googling it today. It's the beginning of Alien 3, when she gets the spoilers. Everyone, for those who care, this is the 3rd film. It's been out for 30 years.
And it's probably the least good out of the originals.
Unless you speak to Kevin, should be writing this as his favourite. Apparently.
Is it really?
It is. We had a brief conversation today because he knew we were recording.
Make sure you say Alien 3
Make
the
sure,
best.
and claim credit. But what's interesting is at the beginning of the film, at the end of Aliens, Queen, showdown, get away from me, you bitch. And then they go to sleep again, and then Alien 3 starts.
There's a face hugger in there.
There's a face hugger. And so where the fuck did that come from, really? Because to lay eggs, she needs an egg sac. Or does she? Or there's a rumour that she just brought it with her, stashed it. There wasn't a lot of time.
Who stashed it?
The Queen.
Right.
This is why it's nonsense. These are the theories because there's no explanation for it other than the badly written plot. Because they didn't justify where the fuck did this egg come from.
There's no egg on the escape pod, is there?
Yeah.
It's an egg.
Yeah.
I thought you just see the face hugger.
No, there's actually in the credits when they cut between the words of like the titles.
Yeah.
It pans to an egg and then cuts away. There's an egg. It's ridiculous.
What?
Yeah. This is why it doesn't
But
work.
eggs don't move.
No. So unless the Queen brought it,
Yeah.
the other rumour is she laid it, but she's left her egg sac on the planet.
Yeah, they blew it up with a grenade launcher.
So it's like, and I was googling this today because it's never made sense to me since 1992.
I thought it wasn't an egg; it was just a face hugger had got on the board.
No, there was an egg. You rewatch it, I promise you. I'm not because it's bothered me for 30 years. Okay.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just
But
I must have remembered it.
What's fascinating about that is it's the only film franchise where I know it's a deeply flawed film from a plot contrivance way, but I love it. And it doesn't matter. I mean, Jaws, my favourite film ever, has got so many plot holes.
Yeah.
You could sail the Orca through it. But it doesn't matter. And this is another one where it doesn't, okay, I'll just go with it. It doesn't make sense, but I like it. And I just wish they stopped. I love the fact they killed her off.
Yeah.
Properly.
Yeah, spoilers, Ripley dies.
It's 30 years old. Live with it. Then she goes back for Resurrection.
Hang on a minute. Because I say, I've seen Alien 3 like maybe once, twice in my entire life, and it was like absolute years ago.
She tops herself.
She jumps into the reactor with the beast.
She jumps into
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is when they then resurrect.
She Palpatines herself.
She jumps into the lava.
Yeah.
Because
So how have they got any DNA to resurrect her in the fourth one?
Because they scraped it off the side of that
reactor.
It wasn't a reactor. It was a iron smelter.
Okay.
It was iron ore. She basically melted. She did Terminator 2.
She did Terminator 2. Right.
And so that's each experiment in Resurrection is them not quite guessing the splicing rate.
Yeah.
So it's more her than the alien.
Yeah.
And then finally they get.
Because the DNAs are mixed or whatever.
Because they can't get it perfect. I mean, it was a plot contrivance. Number 4 shouldn't have happened as a film. It didn't need to. It was a perfect trilogy. Leave it alone, people. I'm looking at you, Disney, with Toy Story fucking 5.
Is that happening?
Yes.
Oh, God.
The entire thing at D23 this year was sequel. Snow White and the 7 CGI dwarfs.
Right.
And so it's all
The
sequels.
Hobbit.
Well, they've got
Gandalf and the Hobbits.
Incredibles 3, because, we all wanted that.
What?
And Toy Story 5.
Okay.
And. So.
Off topic. Back to Alien.
We're not bitter. What is it?
No. Ripley is a Disney princess now.
Exactly. That's literally what I was about to say.
She
is a Disney princess, which is why, scarily, later on, the horrors of Disney owning the rights for this
means that we'll never be free of it.
It means
it will never be done like they've done with Star Wars.
This is true horror.
They've done with Marvel.
This is true horror. Avengers versus Aliens comic book.
Yes, I've seen.
Where I saw a panel the other day.
Seen them.
With.
I thought they were like mock covers or like joke covers. Is that an actual series they're going to do?
And
for goodness sake!
And there was Spider-Man with the face hugger that the symbiote blended with him, and he had the pat of the face hugger on his chest. And it's like fuck off.
But I mean, playing devil's advocate here, like there's the graphic novels is another aspect because I was too young to watch the films when I was first heard about them. But my step brothers had a few of the Alien and the AVP graphic novels, like the original ones from the sort of late 80s, early 90s. I used to read them.
Yeah.
So that's where I first learned about the Predator, what the Predator is, and all that sort of stuff, the Army movies and things. Yada yada yada. But they've done over the years. There's been loads of crossovers. Like there's Batman versus the Predator.
Oh yeah.
And there's but they've done stupid things like Aliens versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. So this is just another.
No, I know, and I absolutely. It's just
camp and it's ridiculous.
It's throwaway nonsense. Yeah. And I don't think
it'll be canon. Can you imagine the next?
But equally, I don't.
Thanos is dead. The new threat is the Xenomorph.
I don't count AVP as canon.
No.
Because I mean, it's a throwaway idea from Predator.
The graphic novel's really good.
Is it though?
It is. Okay. As a concept, it's really cool because it's not anything to do with Earth. It's nothing to do with like them being on our planet or anything like that. The whole idea about it in the comic book, as far as I remember, is it's basically like a cattle farming like planet in the middle of god-ass nowhere in some belt of asteroids or whatever, and the xenomorphs get loose because the predators drop them, and they're like, we'll let the planet get infested and then we'll hunt them. So
it's similar to the film.
And this one human fights back and earns the respect of the predator, and gets like there's a scene, I think they do it in the movie, they might do, where she cuts an alien finger off and burns her forehead, there's marks her with it.
Yes.
But then in the sequel of the graphic novel, she goes on the predator ship and goes with them, and then it's all about her trying to ingratiate herself in like the predator society, while they're all like kicking off and saying she's not a real hunter and going on to form her own hunting band and stuff. So it's a bit cooler because it's not on Earth. Why does everything have to be on Earth?
Well, wait till we get to the last point of the whole thing.
Right, okay, go on.
No, right at the end of the episode. So my next question.
Sure.
Before we move on to not film, I know it all started with film, and we're already 40 minutes into our hour-long podcast. But thoughts on? Well, we're going to get to Romulus, but before we do, Prometheus and Covenant.
Prometheus and Covenant. Okay. Prometheus, I almost don't consider to be an alien film.
Okay.
And it's not because I'm like, oh, it's crap. It's just because it was so far removed from anything I had in my head canon about where these things came from. One of the things I really liked about the xenomorph as a creature and the way it reproduced and stuff like that was that it had no origin.
Yeah.
And so to have that explained in a film was a bit like, oh,
that was awful.
I don't know if I'm happy with this. Like,
yeah,
no, I'm not cool with that. And then it wasn't a very good film on top of that. Do you see what I mean? It kind of Covenant was. We went to see Covenant in the cinema as like a family, like me and my wife and my sister-in-law and her boyfriend, who are obviously getting married this weekend and stuff. And we all went off to see it together, and we all came out of it like, yeah, that was. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. Do you know what I mean? It was just a very meh
Did
film.
You like you blow in the hole and after the finger? Because the problem with that quote, because they did a double bill when I went to see it, and they did for some reason they chose to do Alien,
right,
and that,
and then Covenant,
and they did the night before. I think it was Prometheus, right? They did it 2 nights, and we went.
But they can't advertise it as the worst 2 Alien films back to back, can they?
There was it wasn't even a quiet snigger.
No, the audience was laughing.
It was, and that's not what he wanted.
No,
that wasn't what I completely agree with you. With them, the whole point of the universe working is not having any reason. Don't justify it.
No, what I'm going to say though is I think Covenant needed to exist for Prometheus to make sense, because a lot of Prometheus was theory up until right at the very end.
Well, do you know what
And then to see it in practice, because I remember there's that scene in Covenant where the thing gets him in the back. It's not a face hugger, but it's like a little bug thing that gets him in the back, and then a chest burster comes out of it.
Yeah, well, that my take on it was I've got many takes on this because I'm an old whinging man. The guy who wrote the guy who wrote Prometheus is a guy called Damon Lindelof, who wrote Lost, and he wrote Fringe, and he wrote a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
He's very good at starting stuff. He's no good at anything you watch.
Right,
he's not very good at finishing. When he gets to Covenant, he didn't write Covenant, so he wasn't involved.
Oh, he wrote Prometheus, but not Covenant. Okay.
And I think Ridley Scott didn't need to explain where they came from at all, because that takes away. That's like saying, here's Leatherface.
Well, I like
this is his origin.
Theory thing I read about the designer who was working on it with H.R. Geiger. I told you about this, didn't I? Who basically he had assumed and had chats with Geiger about it when they were designing what the creature was, that it was an offshoot of a Lovecraftian creature. It was like a bit of a great old one that had broken off in the galaxy, and they were calling it the spawn of Yog-Sothoth for like ages before it became the xenomorph.
Thing.
This thing was floating around in space and woke up.
It's very, because even that it's any sort of explanation to me takes away the horror.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
It's unnecessary.
And also, when they came up with the idea, basically that David made them.
Yeah, perfect organism,
which is what you find out in Covenant. It's like
all the bloody androids, isn't it?
It's always the bloody android.
No,
and obviously there's the irony that man makes android, and android kills man through his creation.
Yeah.
All that.
Man creates dinosaurs. Dinosaurs eat man. And women inherit the earth.
There you go. Exactly. And it's just, it didn't need to happen. So that, and they don't feel. I know you can say, and maybe yourself said, it's also they've got more money because Weyland is paying, therefore the ships look shinier and all that kind of stuff.
But it takes away from that as that grimy, grungy aesthetic,
which even Aliens had, because the ship was.
And I think when we play the RPG, and we've done the Marines campaign, but what excites me about playing the RPG is playing a bunch of space truckers.
Yeah.
Now, I want to play regular Joes who've got no defense against any of
They're
this
just
madness.
humans. They've got no clue. They're not. I mean, even what's interesting is Aliens. You rewatch it now, and they're all talk, and their first encounter, they shit themselves.
Yeah, of course, because you would.
Yeah, even though they're Marines and they've dealt with bug hunts before, it's
Yeah.
like we've not come across this thing. Even Hudson's classically all mouth, and
Game
then
over, man.
absolutely shits himself.
Get the hell out of here, man. Coming out of the
So it's
goddamn
interesting.
walls.
So I've got a soft spot. What was interesting equally, I thought about Prometheus, is I believed in the crew, even if I didn't like the film.
Yeah.
So I like Idris Elba as the captain.
Yeah.
I like the fact they got Benedict Wong as the pilot, and it was and they got a man, half-shaved head, who was son of. This is a really good time for Kevin to text in, because he always does, and he'll shout at the screen. He'll text me.
Move past it.
I can't, because every Tuesday morning I know.
Man with the shaved head.
Kev
will leave it to you.
It's going to annoy me now. Anyway, good cast. You get to Covenant.
Yeah.
And it's Danny McBride. What?
Yeah,
And
which
then-
was a bit of a weird
And
thing.
even with the little short films they put before Covenant, which all felt like previously on. Do you remember this film?
Yeah.
It then
It's been
had-
a while since we've done an Alien. We've
So-
done an Alien.
yeah, so-
This isn't a Prometheus,
Yeah.
we promise.
And they had James Franco as the captain, which was just felt like a
And I
shoehorned
think as
cameo.
well, and I don't know, because I wasn't around to see like the trailers before they came out. Things like that. Obviously, you said you remember seeing posters for Alien 3 and things on billboards and stuff. What I think there was, as a testament to what you've just said about Covenant, it was the first Alien trailer I saw the alien on full display, like in daylight, like sat on the top of a spaceship. You're like, oh, okay, it's not Prometheus. And it was clearly like, please watch this, it's not Prometheus.
Because we didn't have enough aliens in the last film, so we're going to have it. So it works. And what's interesting is I want to like it. Every time I watch it again, I want to like it more than I do. And I go, But then we get to Romulus.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I said this to you, but what was interesting when I went to see it is I had really low expectations because the others did.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy it because it was connected to the films. I enjoyed it because for the first time I could connect it to the game, the RPG game.
Yes.
And the vibe of the
But that's
planet.
a different thing for us as well, because, I mean, I hadn't played the 8 RPG until a couple of years ago.
No.
So I'd seen all of the Alien offerings for the movies, and I played the video games and stuff like that. The RPG was a thing that's now allowed me to get more out of that universe and a bit more of a lore dump and a bit more of a, I really like this as a sort of, as a bit more information to it. So yes, as Alien RPG fans, there's some fantastic moments in Romulus which would be perfect for a tabletop RPG. Are.
It felt like the colony at the beginning. In Aliens, when you go to Hadley's Hope, and in the extended cut, when you go to Hadley's Hope, you're there more.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the universe. When you went to the colony in
the
Romulus,
little mining place at the beginning of Romulus.
I mean, you're only there for 5-10 minutes, but it felt.
Well, you're on a ship or whatever
for most of it. But for that beginning bit, it felt like okay, this is the universe. This matches in my brain, whether it's whatever. It isn't.
It's a wet, muddy Blade Runner.
Yeah, but the vibe is exactly that. The vibe works, and it matched, and the characters worked. And
it eased you in as well. And I think they did that really cleverly at the beginning of Romulus by having it's one of my bonus points at the beginning of the film. By the end of the film, it became a negative, but it was the nods.
Oh, the nods, yeah.
The nods to the originals, having the little nodding bird at the bit in like one of the opening scenes where they're both.
My problem is, here's the question.
Like, oh, cool! I'm watching an Alien film, and then by, get away from her, you bitch, and looking at the ammo counter.
Oh, that was.
I was like, I've had enough now.
Yeah.
Like, do your own thing now, guys. Come on.
The member berries. That I've been told they're referred to as.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
I remember.
Do you remember this? I
remember.
And they shoehorned. I mean, even if you look at the dude, the cousin, the dick. If you haven't seen it, spoilers. Tough. The cousin wearing the headband looks like Brandon from the Goonies.
Yep.
that was just a Parker outfit on a kid.
Yeah, of course it was.
There you go. So
Yeah.
and it was just too.
It was more than I thought it was. Yeah.
And it was just like, you're just doing Parker, and you're doing this, and
Yeah.
you're doing that. And by the end, it was like, I like you. But I still enjoyed the film. But I didn't need
recent
them.
Alien offerings. It's hands and shoulders above, head and shoulders above Covenant and Prometheus.
Oh, yes.
As a film.
Yes,
As the pacing, as the action, as the characters,
I
loved it all.
would.
But yeah,
I heard
my
a reviewer.
negatives are I've got two negatives. One is the member berry sort of everything that could be a reference is a reference to a previous thing, which was fine going in because it eases the audience in and goes, yeah, remember you were watching an alien film.
They might have gone wink.
Yeah,
they might as well have gone.
I think within the space of 5 minutes, there's the misty beam thing at the bottom of the alien eggs bit, which is clearly, and then there's the looking over the shoulder and him squeezing her shoulder and watching the ammo counter go down on the gun, which is from the scene in Aliens 2. There's the get away from her, then look directly at the camera and go, you bitch.
And even him teaching her to use the gun was Hicks and Ripley.
Of course it was. But by that point, it was like, yeah, that's enough of that now.
Yeah, stop it.
And my only other negative is right at the end, where it was sort of like, what the hell is that thing? That sort of half human, half alien thing, which I realised through having this conversation, it's Resurrection. It's what happens in Resurrection.
Also the because I watched a YouTube video, and it's also director talked about it being they put the engineer face on the dude.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is that is a 7'7" basketball player,
right?
And he wasn't very good at basketball because he was too breakable. Is what I heard.
Okay.
So he'd fall over and literally hurt himself or something. So he had to not play basketball.
So put him in movies as giants.
Put him in a movie as a whatever, but he's that shape, he's that tall, he's that thin. Because it isn't CG, it's just
my wife made a really good point after we came out of Romulus. She's like, there's going to be another one, don't you? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, Remus. Romulus and Remus were twins, and they ate their mother. So I imagine she's going to give them birth.
Well, Romulus
to a
killed
second
Remus,
creature.
or Remus killed Romulus. One of the way
Something like that.
If you read the Roman story, that's how.
There's a very interesting nod to that as they walk past. There's a mural, isn't there, on the side of the space station?
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely.
There's a child eating its mother.
But that's where this is with so many.
So my wife thinks that she's gonna, even though she's dead, the body will spawn a second.
Do you reckon?
Creature, and we'll go from there. Obviously, we'll see.
We'll see how
years
much,
or however long it takes to make the next one. But
well, it's about 5 or 6 years, and whether Walter Hill likes to go there, and whether because Covenant was meant to be Blomkamp's movie, which was going to have Hicks back in it, which we're never going to see because he wants
never
to
going to get done.
The other thing, from a last point of movie point, you talk about what did I have to do on Earth, a TV show. You know
yes, I heard they're going to do a TV show.
Do you know what it's called?
Earth?
Yeah, Alien Earth.
Oh, I don't need them to be here.
But then whether it's going to have that RPG vibe, where it's actually that's just a problem.
Yeah.
Amidst androids and government and politics, and it's got apparently, well, I didn't know this until today. It's got Timothy Oliphant in it. He's the face that I know.
Right. Okay.
He's the only face.
Is this for the TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Noah Hawley.
Is there a trailer or anything?
There's a teaser came out today, but you don't see anything.
I'll have a look.
But it's the guy who's made Fargo TV show.
Okay, I quite like Fargo the TV show.
But it is called, officially it's called Alien.
Yeah.
But it's called Alien Earth. And it's going to be on FX, it's going to be on Disney Plus. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're just trying to get another Fallout, isn't they?
But this was made before Fallout. This was in production before Fallout.
It doesn't need to be a TV show, in my opinion.
But they'll just... Fox want to keep making...
Of course they do. Disney will never stop the production train.
So, quick fire question for you.
Go for
it. Your preference of films in order?
1, 2, 4, Covenant, Prometheus, 3, only because I've only seen 3 like once. And Romulus probably before 4. So 1, 2, Romulus, 4.
1, 2, 7, 4. Interesting. Second question. Or in numerical order.
Yeah.
Are the films beyond Aliens just member berries for the noises? Like the door hissing and the and
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Or are they better than that?
They are more than that, because if you look at it as a complete package, it fleshes out that lore and that story a lot more.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
But these things exist. They are, you can't say you can only watch Star Wars 4 and 5 because the rest of them aren't very good.
But
Do you know
you
what I
can.
mean? Like, you can't. You have to watch all of them.
You watch 4, 5, and 6, even with Ewoks.
Yeah.
Because they're the only ones that exist.
Sure, Adam. But it's the same thing with Alien, isn't it? If you've got a new fan who's never seen Alien before, watches the first one, goes, this was great, watches the second one, goes, oh, I didn't expect that to happen, that was great. They're gonna watch the others.
They can watch.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, they can watch 3. I mean, with any franchise.
You can watch whatever you want.
No, you absolutely, of course you can. And of course you can. And they're gonna, and with any franchise you can watch. But and it's the one franchise where I can, because I struggle to disconnect crap, like Star Wars jokes.
Yeah, sure.
I do struggle with the ones I don't like, genuinely, because it's my childhood.
Yeah, of course.
With these,
I have an Empire tattoo.
I can disconnect the two.
Don't feel so great about that these days.
No, we don't mention the. It's Disney again, isn't it?
It is.
Disney, what have you done? Disney, Walt will be turning in his grave.
Oh no, Walt will be loving his solid gold sarcophagus.
So, the other stuff.
Go on.
So, bigger universe. What's interesting is when we looked at Fallout in the bigger world.
Yeah.
And we talked about this company. What I was trying to think. With the RPG, it's all canon anyway. It was canon in the books. I'm sure it's canon on what they've done as a company. Free League have gone, where's the law?
Yeah.
So, and I didn't realise this. I started rereading the graphic novel of Alien 3 that was never made. One of the screenplays was never produced. It's only a book. And they do refer to the UPP.
Yeah.
Which is referred to clearly in there. The UPP, for those who don't know, is I've got it written down. The United Progressive Peoples.
Yeah.
Which
is what?
Sister Adam oversimplification is Russia, China, etc.
That's right. So, real quick synopsis of that. Earth was split into like 3 almost warring factions, wasn't it?
3 World Empire.
3 World Empire.
United Americas.
United Americas. Britain, Australia, Japan.
Yeah, they were the 3 World Empire.
Yeah. You had America, North America, South America, and Canada.
Yeah. And
then you had China, Russia, and another part. I think it was the Middle East part.
Vietnam.
Yeah. Where that's how the world was sort of divided at that point, and then over farming, blah 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 blah. Space exploration happened. Mega corporations, think Amazon in space, is kind of like what Weyland Yutani is.
Well, I didn't realise till properly researching today, and this is my point, because I do like the bigger world.
I'd like to see a film set in the alien universe without any aliens and just kind of getting into that sort of stuff. But obviously, I know that's not what people want.
No, and
I'd like to know more about that sort of stuff.
That's what the RPG is great for, because if you play the long form campaign, I watched a stream of it where they spent the first 6, 7, 8 episodes of a 20 episode campaign. They didn't see Beastie.
Yeah.
They had politics and they had androids to deal with.
That's a testament to how good that game is.
The universe can be big enough, because I didn't realise.
Because you can have those stressful moments when you're trying to repair a cockpit in 0G as an asteroid field's approaching.
Yeah.
And that's just as scary as you facing down a creature.
I didn't realise until prepping for this episode and thinking about my campaign coming, that Weyland are part of the 3 World Empire. So there was England, Japan, etc. Hence the Weyland.
And that's why all the androids are British.
But they're not part of the United Americas, which is the
US Marine Corps.
Yeah. So when you get to aliens and you're kind of going, so basically the Brits are doing a deal. It's okay. The Brits have done a deal with the Americas to provide the firepower.
Yeah.
And it's like bigger world, bigger universe, and all of a sudden it expands.
But it's not very explained, because I guess it doesn't really need to be, because that's not the focus point of the films. But it's not very much explained in any of the movies.
No. But I love the fact that it's there.
Yeah.
And even I've been watching these films for 30 plus years. And there's a bigger universe that I can go and delve into, which I think works.
Corporate espionage and protection rackets and all that sort of stuff.
So my other question to you, stepping from this, you being the gamer of the group, the video gamer of the group, I asked Toby of this parish, who came on our episode to talk about video games, for some thoughts on this. So before I give you his thoughts, I'm going to ask you first, because he's actually texted me an answer.
Cool.
Why did, from a video game perspective, Alien Isolation worked really well?
Yep.
Had the right vibe, had the right tone. I remember when I played it, and the first vent I went into it made that very sound, and I shat myself. Genuinely, I wasn't trying to. I'm excited. I like the universe. And I went, okay, this is working.
yeah,
And not just because it's the right sound, because I was worried what's behind it.
Yeah.
So for me, that worked. And it wasn't just about the member berries.
Sure.
Because you could use those sound effects in other games.
Of course you can.
Why did that work when other Alien games have been shit? Like,
Well,
all of the other Alien games have been...
You can take that with a bit of a pinch of salt to a degree, because like there has been some good Alien games. As I said, the one on the PlayStation was brilliant. The Alien trilogy, I really liked it, and it was at cutting edge at its time. I really enjoyed, and this is my subjective opinion, but I really enjoyed the Alien vs Predator video game that was on the PC, I think it was, where it had 3 separate campaigns.
Oh yeah, you could play as the
You could play as a xenomorph,
human.
the human, and I really like the Alien campaign because you start as a face hunter.
I played that on the Xbox.
Yeah, and you have to run through all events and try and get on someone, and that's the end of the first level, whereas the Predator is like trying to hunt a bunch of humans, and then it all culminates at the end.
Yeah.
And the multiplayer was great, because if you were playing, they all had their own special abilities. So like the humans had all of the guns and the motion scanners and the sentry guns and stuff. The Predator could obviously go invisible and shoulder blast things, but the Alien could like disappear through the walls and come round and do all events and stuff, like and take people down immediately from 1-to-1 and stuff. So that was a great game. That was really cool. But yes, I know what you mean. They are also responsible for probably some of the worst games in the video gaming zeitgeist. Alien Colonial Marines is an absolute steaming pile of crap, which was so bad. It was so bad, but that was because, well, we could do a whole video on what reasons why that game was so bad. But brain dead AI, completely boring campaign, loads of different reasons. But the Isolation worked so well because no one had done an Alien game based on the original film.
And they got the tone right.
Yeah, and it's a horror film, and it's a horror survival game, and you're not supposed to be able to kill that thing. People wanted the vibe of aliens in their video games, mowing down waves of mindless xenos. And even with the more recent releases, Fireteam Elite, for example, is that sort of Left 4 Dead Horde mode style game. I played Dark Descent recently, which was like the one where you've got kind of like an XCOM vibe, where you're commanding a squad and you're moving them back as aliens are swarming in from all directions, and your boys have got stress meters and people freaking out and stuff. Fun, but again, it's that same thing of I am Colonial Marines mowing down a bunch of mindless enemies.
You might as well play Gears of War.
It's
really interesting because when I asked Toby, and I'm going to read because he texted me, and I'm going to read it, I thought it was really interesting. He said, I asked him the question, why it worked when all other games failed. The question I asked you.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the reason Isolation works and the other games don't is the emphasis and power it gives the alien itself. It really feels like you don't have much of a chance, and it's really hunting you as the AI learns about you.
Yeah.
And he said
that's a testament to it, because the creators who did Alien Isolation Creative Assembly, English-based company based in Horsham, do the Total War games.
Yeah.
So their whole thing before that, this is the first-person game that they've made that wasn't a Total War game. I mean, they've never worked on anything other than these big, epic, grand strategy games for PC and things. But they have an amazing AI generation engine. It's showing its years a bit now. They're working on a new one, all that sort of stuff. But they applied that to...
So the alien would learn...
If you liked going in cupboards, it would know to look in cupboards. If you liked hiding under tables, it would eventually work out that you're likely to be hiding under a table. And then they did really clever things, like it could listen to your microphone. So if you were talking in your front room, it would hear you, you know, things like that. So,
no, she turned that setting. I remember Kevin telling me that he had that setting on and hadn't warned his son who came in the room.
So, hi, Dad, and the thing's like...
and he absolutely... Because back in the day when the Kinect was a thing, which is weird to think that was ever a thing, because it's not anymore.
No.
Really isn't anymore.
Rest in peace, Kinect. No.
Yeah.
Rest in hell.
No, it was it was novelty. It was 3D TV for gaming.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it did listen to you. And you're right, that's exactly what Toby about. The AI learns what you want to do. So if you like hiding in
which had
cupboards...
never been done in a video game like that before, especially with something so iconic as the Xenomorph. That wouldn't have worked with, say, a horror game where you were going up against Michael Myers or do you know what I mean, or Jason Voorhees or something like that. It wouldn't have had that same impact because this thing is cold, unthinking, unfeeling. You know, it's that perfect hostile organism. Then it worked. It works so well, and they got the vibe perfectly right. And you know, it's almost like the story's fantastic. You're Ellen Ripley's daughter trying to find her mum. Yeah, you know, who's floating in a pod in the middle of the thing because it's set right after the first game, right after the first film. So
It's he also went on to say other games are just simple shooters with an alien skin.
Yep.
Nothing remarkable that doesn't really have much memory.
Yep.
Sorry, doesn't leave much memorable struggle more than any other game like Gears of War or Call
Yep.
of Duty. He said isolation immerses you in the universe where everything is a threat, but none so much as a xenomorph constantly is somewhere on your tail. Because they are clearly the androids.
There's other threats as well. I've got 2 nitpicks and 2 gripes with Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
One is after about the 8th time the aliens killed you, it's no longer as scary.
Yeah.
Because you know what the animation is going to be, and it's just like, I'm trying to get past this stealth section, I'll just keep messing it up, and it's really annoying me at this point. So it's no longer scary, it's just annoying. So that's a case of put the game
like
down.
every Souls game going.
Absolutely.
My experience of every Souls
Put the game down and come back to it a few months later, and you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it's just so bloody long. There's so much of it.
40 hours?
It's something like that, and it's just like this is unnecessarily long at this point. Don't get me wrong, it's great. I've never finished it. It's too long. There's too much of it.
I enjoy playing the alien characters in that version. You know, you got the alien. You've literally got Ripley and Dallas. And
they did the expansion, didn't they? Where it was on the Nostromo.
That was fun.
I never played that.
Just for novelty value.
Yeah.
And it was purely novelty value. It was quite.
That's member berries for you.
That is, absolutely member berries, and we will be using that expression much more. So that's why that worked. Because actually, every other game, if you just put skin.
Yeah.
If you use aliens and you're playing
any horde-like bug creature, you could go. You know, that's a Xeno.
Yeah.
Same with Helldivers or Gears of War or.
But that's not
Starship Troopers.
Because it's interesting looking at the 2 first films.
Space Marine 2.
The threat felt more real from the first film.
Yeah.
Because one creature coming
one
after
creature
you.
after
the
one
horde
person.
After a while was like it's a horde.
And I think it was very clever in the video in Isolation that they put the other antagonists as androids because they're not. You know, you can't rely on the alien picking them off. Oh, they're freaky.
Working Joes.
Yeah, the freaky working Joes.
Having to build the thing to switch them off.
You are in a restricted area.
Fuck off! No. But you are.
It's like as they're beating you into the wall.
Oh, let me help you. Oh,
gross.
That was what I did. That was one little nod to Isolation I liked in Romulus is the save points.
Yeah,
we're in the ship.
Yeah,
and I thought, you know what? You're just walking past this piece of.
But that was clever as well. That was another clever thing with Isolation, is because the alien could get you while you were doing the save,
and it would warn you.
Yeah,
that if
you're not safe until that button is completed, that bar is filled,
and even at the beginning of the game, restarting it recently, you go, this takes a while, doesn't it?
Oh,
okay. No,
yeah. Now I'm safe.
Now you have to stand it.
Yeah, which is another clever little nod because it's all about that creeping dread, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stuff.
And have I got time? And if I hold, like when you're hiding in the cupboard, you have to hold your breath.
You're going,
even mechanically or with a
Come on!
Can I hold my? I've got to wait.
Sneaking around the room. Yeah.
It's
a very good game. If you've not played it and you want a good alien game, that's the one to go with. As I say, it's a bit long. It's a bit, as I say, if you keep failing, put it on an easier difficulty and finish the story mode. Do you know what I mean? Because the story's great and the characters are awesome. I
would recommend it too. It's good fun. I'm interested in Alien Earth. I was fascinated.
I will reserve judgment on that.
I'm interested to see it. I don't know if it'll be any good.
Yeah.
But they're also they're doing a Blade Runner TV show. So it's just because they have to make money.
This is the thing though, isn't it? Is that previously when you would have said they're doing an Alien TV show, I'd be really excited. Or they're doing a Fallout, or they're doing a Witcher and things like that, I'd be really excited. Now I'm just sort of like, okay, I don't have that anymore. I don't have that sort of joyous, I can't believe I'm getting more of my favourite IPs. It's
I'm interested to see what'll be fascinating with the movies, because I read this recently after Romulus came out, as they do take, and it wasn't until I saw a article write it down for me when it was every 6 years they release a film.
Okay.
It's not deliberately every 6, but it's
but
not every other
how
year.
It's worked out.
It's not every other year.
So at least you've got time to gestate.
So you've got 2 a decade. Well, see, we did that. So what'll be interesting is because Covenant did so badly.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a part 2 of 3.
Sure.
To wrap up that story.
Romulus is a very different pitch. Isn't it?
And they are not going to bother finishing Covenant's wrap.
Definitely looking forward to doing that bit in Romulus. Spoilers, heavy spoilers in the RPG, where you have to raise the temperature in the room to get rid of the room for the facehuggers and speak completely silently, because I would make the players roll stress for every 10 paces they do.
Sneakers did it first.
Yeah, fantastic.
It was
what a scene. That was amazing, that.
But could you get them? That's the thing with the game, because if you get them to roll stress, you're basically going to forwards again.
Well, you're going to get stressed more as you cross the room.
And then it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, and then someone's going to panic, and then everyone's going to run.
Yes, well, maybe I'll throw it into Heart Darkness. Because Heart Darkness looks like which is the campaign that we're going to be running. It looks like it's the first cinematic campaign. I'm basically doing the 3 that
Is it
released so far.
it Space Truckers?
What's interesting is
Marines?
No, because the second one's Marines. This one is a blend.
Okay.
I think the first one they did, which was I can't remember what it's called because my brain is gone. Very much
Chariot of the Gods.
Chariot of the Gods had the alienish vibe.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, the second one had the aliens vibe. This third one is a mashup between Alien 3 and Resurrection. Because you're on a space station.
Yeah.
You play the scientists. You play the Brad. If you don't remember, Brad Dourif was in Resurrection. Wormtongue was in Resurrection.
Yeah.
And you were basically said that the premise is, and it's in the pitch, plushy job, lots of money, just go and see what these creatures can do. So you are playing Weyland Yutani scientists.
Oh, okay, clever.
To have that vibe, it's clearly going to go tits up.
Of course it is.
But none of that. I don't think, having looked at the pre-gen characters, any of them are particularly well established in the armory department.
Good. That's how it should be.
Which will be
the
science version of Space Truckers.
Yeah.
Because if you,
I like it. Oh, I'm game.
That'll be quite. So I'll throw in a corridor.
Yeah.
I'll do an ad lib. There's a corridor there where you have to hold your breath.
Yeah.
Off you go. Maybe I'll get you to hold your breath.
Well, no, I remember there's thinking back on Resurrection now, there was that scene where they had to swim through the active channel, wasn't there?
Just go through the kitchen.
The xenomorph comes swimming up behind them or whatever, didn't there? That's quite cool.
And they set a trap and they come up and it's full of eggs.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's got that. I've forgotten the dude from Breaking Bad. Who there's that famous meme with the guy who's smoking that stuff from Breaking Bad, and he cuts it up when very early in Breaking Bad when they do one of their first deals.
Right.
There's the
he snorts a load off the back of a car. Or whatever,
and it's become a comedy gif.
Yeah, we've seen it doing with like Thanos and the Infinity Stones.
That
and stuff
dude
like that,
is the soldier in Resurrection.
Right. Okay.
And I've forgotten he was in it because he's a bubby because it's 20 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
Just, oh my god, it's that dude from that meme.
Yeah.
But okay, it's you.
It's going to be like Apocalypse Now, isn't it? It used to be a Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. So it's a good franchise. If you want more,
it's a bloody good franchise.
Go and look at the universe. Go and look at the.
Just take it all, watch it all. Just don't expect everything to be a masterpiece. As with all franchises, Not every Marvel movie's a hit. Not every Star Wars movie's a hit. Not every Star Trek movie's a hit. Do you know what I mean? That nerddom is for all its warts and all is what it is, and we still love it. So
go and expand. Yeah, and I'm not slagging.
And then go and watch Predator the musical. It's fucking fantastic.
And in fact, as well as that's your takeaway from this episode. Go and watch Predator the musical, which is nothing to do with
It's 10 minutes on YouTube. It's a treat.
But equally, if you ever want to YouTube, there was a school a couple of years ago that recreated the Alien film for their equivalent of the school nativity.
Oh, brilliant!
And it got back to Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Right, and they had proper props.
Is it like that Big Fat Quiz of the Year where they get like the kids to reenact like a celebrity story?
But they basically, and I think it was Aliens. So they had a kid in the caterpillar.
Okay,
and it was just, and it was, really good props.
Oh, link me to that. I want to see that. That'd be hilarious.
Very much no budget props, but really good no budget props. And I thought this is so sweet, and it got back as far as Ridley Scott, James Cameron, whoever. It's worth your time unless you don't like gore.
Yeah.
In which case, kill me. I don't like it. What's it? The quote is, I don't like your chances.
I can't speak for your chances.
There we go.
Mother.
That's it.
Yeah, lovely. Well, good show. Loved it.
Thank you for waffling about one of my favourite franchises.
Yeah, thank you for indulging me.
I'm going to scare you now, and not. Allegedly, there's going to be no allegedly.
Allegedly.
Okay. I don't know what to do now.
We can go on.
Alright. Okay. Bye.
This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo. Signing off.